Welcome into the PFF NFL Daily. Today discussing the AFC Playoff picture. That's right, we broke down the NFC yesterday, so we'll give you our high-level thoughts on the AFC Playoff bracket. So Sam, let's get into it. The Tennessee Titans earned the number 1 seed, so we don't get to see them. This week we'll have the Chiefs at the number 2 seed. They play the Pittsburgh Steelers in Kansas City. The Buffalo Bills hosting the New England Patriots. That's your 3 versus 6 matchup. Another rematch. This will be the third time we've seen those two teams play in a month. And then Bengals, Raiders. After that dramatic Sunday night football win, the Raiders are coming to our hometown here in Cincinnati to play the Bengals. What are your initial high-level thoughts on the AFC playoff bracket here?
Yeah, well, first of all, no Indy, no Chargers. They both managed to blow it on the last day of the regular season to varying degrees. You know, the Colts absolutely screwed it. All you had to do was beat the Jags. And disaster. The Chargers, you know, they gave it a shot. Like they gave it their best try against the Raiders and just ended up coming up short in overtime. But, you know, that means the Colts were the team that nobody wanted to play. They're not there anymore. And then the Chargers with Justin Herbert at quarterback are not going to be in the postseason. And all of a sudden, the Pittsburgh Steelers get catapulted into the playoffs from nowhere. I mean, they were bottom of the AFC North a while ago, right? They were the laughing stock of that division. We were just waiting to turn out the lights on the Ben Roethlisberger career, and all of a sudden he's got to go and play the Chiefs in the postseason and, you know, keep this thing going another week. So that's kind of a crazy turn of events just on that last week of the season.
All rematches, by the way, all of these games, including Bills Patriots playing twice. So it's dangerous to look back at the one matchup and just assume it's going to be the same way the next time, but it is. Yeah, we've been critical of the Steelers because they have one of the worst offenses in the league, but it's going to be tough for them to go into Kansas City as double-digit underdogs to pull off the upset. I think the Steelers, you know, they need the Chiefs to just have that bad turnover luck that happened earlier in the season. The Steelers need to shore up their run defense. I think the Chiefs, for all the explosiveness that they can have with Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, their offensive line is a strength. They might be able to run all over this Pittsburgh run defense. So, there's a lot of things saying the Chiefs have the advantage in that game, including the line. And I think that's why a lot of people were rooting for the tie to see what Justin Herbert and the Chargers could do in the playoffs. But either way, Steelers, I think, need something special coming out of their defense. Bills Patriots, though, I think one of the more intriguing matchups of the entire weekend, just because they did split the series. We saw them in 50-mile-an-hour wins in Buffalo, where Mac Jones threw the ball 3 times. We saw Josh Allen and Buffalo win in New England. It looks like we could see some cold, some snow potential, always snow potential in Buffalo. But this rubber match between the two-time AFC East defending champions now, Buffalo Bills, it's going to be, I think one of the games of the weekend, trying to see Bill Belichick go up against Josh Allen once again.
Yeah, I'm really excited by that game. I still think that the Patriots match up well overall with this Buffalo Bills team. And even though the Bills were able to get that win back the last time they played, a really important win for them that set them up to win the division and to get to where they are, I think the Patriots still have a really good chance of being able to knock them over in the playoffs. And for the Patriots, the big thing is, like, what kind of Mac Jones are we going to get? Because I think if Mac Jones plays at the high end of his range of outcomes this season, the Patriots are a very, very difficult team to beat. If Jones doesn't, though, if he, throws an ill-advised interception, if he makes a couple more mistakes, if he ends up having one of those lower graded PFF games, which most of the last few weeks have been for him, then I think the Patriots are in a much bigger deal of trouble, particularly against a team like Buffalo, who is just good. Like, whatever about the Bills not matching up particularly well against these power type of teams, they're just a very good team. And if you give them a little bit of an opening, a window, they're going to take it. And they're going to be very difficult for you to beat unless you're playing at an extremely high level and not making mistakes yourself.
I will say, as far as Mac Jones goes, he's had a couple of rough games, but generally done a pretty good job of bouncing back. I think Jones is one of those guys, not to overrate press conferences or anything like that, but he seems to say the right things and give the right answers, take the blame and all that stuff. I wouldn't be surprised to see him bounce back. He had a rough game in Miami, pick 6, fumble. But even within that game, you see it wasn't, he was able to at least mount a comeback. We saw in Indianapolis a few weeks back, Mac Jones, slow start, at least able to mount a comeback. I think he can at least handle some adversity. And the thing that won the game for the Patriots in Buffalo the first time was essentially just trying to not make mistakes. And if Bill Belichick just waits it out, as exciting as Josh Allen is, he will make mistakes, right? And he's got that urge in the playoffs. So I want to see Josh Allen, if he could put together that good playoff game as well, which we talked about on the big show, that he just hasn't done it just yet. So we're talking NFL playoffs, and the DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, they're kicking things off with a huge offer counting down to Super Bowl 56. New customers can get 56-1 odds on any wildcard team to win their game. Bet just $5 and win $280 in free bets if your team is victorious. If Sportsbook isn't yet available in your state, you'll still have something to play for this wildcard weekend. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes with DraftKings daily fantasy football contests. And DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code PFF. Get 56-1 odds on any NFL team. Bet just $5 and win $280 in free bets if your team wins. It's promo code PFF this wildcard weekend at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older. New Jersey, Indiana, Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit. $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. What about the Raiders, man? They're coming off that difficult win. Great win. Sunday Night Football. It was long. It was defense was on the field, rushing the passer 65, 68 times for a bunch of them. And now they got to take on this explosive Bengals team here in Cincinnati with the first game of the weekend, Saturday afternoon.
But this is the game. This is why they were still playing for the win, right? This is why they weren't happy to just go for a tie, because the difference was Cincinnati, Cincinnati are great right now. Joe Burrow on current form is arguably the best quarterback in the NFL. The Bengals offense is lighting people up, but we know that the Chiefs were hanging 45 on the Raiders every time they played this year. So the Raiders absolutely did not want a third crack at Kansas City in their first playoff game. They were willing to take anybody other than Kansas City. So they get a shot at the Bengals, who might do exactly the same thing, but at least the Raiders have that unknown of, we can go and, hang with the Bengals and we can rush the passer, and Cincinnati doesn't have a great offensive line. The protection for Joe Burrow might become a question mark. So this is actually quite a fun matchup. And there is that kind of pathway because of the AFC being such a chaotic, mess. I don't think there's quite the clear hierarchy that there was, or that there is in the NFC. You could easily see any one of these teams kind of ending up in the AFC Championship.
All right, let's talk scenarios here then, because we'll get into all these games in depth. If all of the favorites win in the second round, don't forget the Tennessee Titans have the number one seed. If all the favorites win this weekend, we'll see the Bengals travel to Tennessee in a 1-4 matchup, and then we get Chiefs-Bills in round 2. Those look like two outstanding games. And as you said, if you saw the Titans in the AFC Championship, if you saw Cincinnati in the AFC Championship, or New England, Buffalo, the Chiefs, it wouldn't be surprising to see any of these teams move on. But I think Titans-Bengals, if they win, if they're the favorites going on, and then Chiefs-Bills, which looked early in the season, or even last year, that was last year's AFC Championship matchup. It looked like it could have been again. We might actually see that in the second round if everything goes true to form as far as the seeds go.
Which would be, in a weird way, exactly what Buffalo wants, because they've built this team to beat Kansas City. Okay, they were expecting it to happen in the AFC Championship, but if it happens around earlier than that, so be it. Like, the Buffalo Bills have constructed a team designed to stop Kansas City and to beat Kansas City. Their problem actually this year has been the teams that aren't really built like Kansas City. So this might be the team. The Buffalo might be the one team out there that is not actually that, averse to playing Kansas City right now, because that's how this entire roster has been constructed. And that's been the aim of this team from the get-go. So, but I agree with you. I think all the favorites win, and that ends up with your 2 next round games. Those are phenomenal games.
Yeah, it's interesting because you've been saying that about the Bills for a while. They're not fit to beat some of these teams in the AFC. Well, one of them was the Colts. They're gone. Yep. The Bills wouldn't have to face the Titans until the AFC Championship. They already lost to them earlier this year. And you're right, the Bills-Chiefs could actually be that matchup. When you're looking at teams here, it's all about pass the ball, stop the pass for the most part. Which teams do it best? And the Bills might be the best team when it comes to that as far as the AFC goes.
Imagine what a kick in the stones that would be for the Bills, though. They beat the Chiefs, finally. They get over that hump in the divisional round, and then they get knocked out by the Titans in the AFC Championship game. No, not even Derrick Henry. Dante Foreman runs for like 250 on Buffalo, and they get knocked out in the title game again. That
The
would
one
suck.
last storyline I want to see, you mentioned Burrow and the Bengals. Do they ride Burrow the same way they did these last 2 weeks, right?
Oh, they turtle up. I'm going to be so sad.
They handed the keys to Joe Burrow, said, all right, you go win games. Go find Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, chuck it around. We're done running the ball, 95 times a game. So we'll see. A lot of great storylines here in the AFC. Let us know. How do you think it's all going to end up? The AFC is absolutely wide open. Can't wait for it to start this weekend. It's a PFF NFL Daily.